It's finally happening. Meta, Amazon, Netflix, Google, and Apple have all announced either a hiring freeze, layoffs, or no return offers for their interns. What does this mean for you, and what does it mean for your lead coding? So in the past few weeks, large companies, startups, anything that could be considered overvalued or just good businesses have started to cut back on their workers and the amount of money that they spend giving potential employees, hiring efforts, and things like that. Just this week, Google announced that it's going to be doing a hiring freeze for 2 weeks, but in places like TeamBlind and Reddit and Discord, managers have been saying that the hiring freeze could continue for as long as until 2023 or later. It's pretty much indefinite at this point. And I just wanted to emphasize that it's not for all roles, but mainly they're going to stop hiring entry-level engineers as well as non-technical roles. On the other hand, Facebook, or Meta now, has been telling its interns that return offers are not guaranteed. And although they were never guaranteed, basically it's become apparent that they're not going to be giving out any return offers this year. Similarly, Amazon has stated that it hired way too many people in different roles like warehousing and engineering. So basically the 1.6 million people they employ might be a bit too much for them to handle, and because of the recession, they're also going to be scaling back. Now, why is this happening to these large companies? Essentially, because of the recession and the way that money works in the economy, people are going to be spending a lot less on consumer goods, which means the advertisers are going to be spending a lot less on advertising. And now, what are the big players in this game of consumer spending and advertising? Amazon sells consumer goods. Google and Facebook, or Meta now, the main revenue for those companies comes from advertising dollars, not from search, not from Gmail, not from people using Facebook or spending on things like, what is it called? But the main money comes from advertising dollars for these companies like Google and Facebook. And now the big question, what does this mean for your lead coding? I still think everyone should continue to lead code. I think that lead coding is a good idea because if you do end up getting laid off, you're gonna wanna have these skills so that you can get a new job, hopefully a higher paying job from a company that will pay even higher than your last one, a recession-proof company, if you will. I'd honestly stay away from applying to companies that are in crypto or overvalued startups. Things like Lyft and Slack are in some choppy waters right now. Slack is raising its prices. Lyft is laying off a bit of its employees. Still not 100% sure on what's happening over there, but they said they're going to scale back their hiring. And I'm assuming that their $220,000 starting salary is also going to scale down a bit for entry-level engineers. I think that lead coding is going to be important for people who don't have a job right now because they're going to want to get a job as soon as they can. And it's going to be important for people to have jobs because if you are in an unfortunate scenario of getting laid off, you're going to want to get hired back as soon as you can for the stock options because most of the stocks are down right now. So those stock options are going to pay off way better in the long term. Now, if you're into startups, right now is also apparently going to be a great time to start a startup because companies that start during recessions or economic downturns tend to do better than the ones that start at the top, because if you start at the top and then the economy crashes, people are going to be a lot less reluctant to want to buy your goods and to invest more money into your product and into your company because there's just less money going around. But if you start during a recession and you do that main build phase and you get your 100 customers that love your product during the recession, you can only go up in terms of the amount of people that are going to buy your product. Is the way that I think of it. Outlook is only positive, whereas if you start at the top, outlook is either positive if you're super optimistic or very negative if you're not at all because of the recession. So yeah, if you're into startups, I recommend playing around with some products, seeing if you can get some traction while you work on your lead code skills. I just wanted to make this video to tell you guys that Google is doing a hiring freeze mainly, and that even people that go through and get an offer or like they finish their interview process and succeed, they're being told that Google is not going to be hiring for the next while, for the foreseeable future. So if you're thinking about doing a Google interview right now or you've been invited, you might as well cancel unless you want to do it just for fun, I guess, because they're not going to be giving any offers regardless of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was supposed to be the first episode in my React course series, but I wanted to make this video instead to give you guys sort of an overview of what's happening right now with all the jobs and lead coding and stuff like that. That video will be coming out soon, so stay tuned for that and give a like and subscribe if you like this video.